Now to the growing battle against Ebola. This weekend, another healthcare worker infected while caring for Ebola patients in West Africa arrived in the U.S. Dr. Martin Salia, a Sierra Leone native, will be treated at a biocontainment unit in Nebraska. Meanwhile, the first wave of American troops deployed to the hot zone arrived home Thursday, part of an American effort to combat an outbreak that's cost over 5,000 lives. Army Major General Gary Volesky, commander of the 101st Airborne, who I've traveled with in both Iraq and Afghanistan, is now in charge of the military's Ebola response and joins us from Liberia. Major General Volesky, I heard you recently say this is the first time you felt welcomed and people were really happy to see you on a deployment. What improvements have you seen so far? You have not been there more than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, actually, today's our first month in Liberia, and what we've seen is some positive progress. As you know, Ebola treatment units are being built. We're overseeing 17 of those. We're training healthcare workers to work in those Ebola treatment units, and we're working the sustainment piece. So while there's been positive movement, there's still 20 brand new cases here every day, so we're going to keep our foot on the accelerator and help the government in Liberia and the lead federal agency, USAID, get after this problem.
And these healthcare workers, are you actually out with the population? I think it's a bit confusing because we saw your preparation. We saw your soldiers with the biohazard gear and learning how to use that. So are you actually involved with the population, or are you separated?
Well, we have the training, our major training facilities at the National Police Training Center. And we do bring those candidates or those students in. However, the risk is very low for any transmission. I mean, they are all checked before they come up, and so we do that training. Training lasts about 5 days. Currently, we've trained just about 200 healthcare workers, and we'll continue to expand that all throughout December.
As we said, it's reached the death toll has reached the 5,000 mark. The president of Liberia has now lifted the state of emergency in Liberia because the rate of infection is declining there. So will all these Ebola treatment centers be needed? Do you scale back?
We're going to build all of them. My assessment is, you've seen Monrovia that had significant outbreak start to become more manageable, and so we're seeing more incidents out in the rural areas. So where these Ebola treatment units are currently being built will really help set that network for an enduring capability on the Liberian government and providers to take care of this outbreak and any future outbreak that they may have.
Quickly, the 21 days for your soldiers who are returning to monitor or quarantine, is that really necessary?
Well, this is about confidence of our families and communities. I mean, there's nobody more important than our families and the communities we live in. And so, we want to make sure our families and those communities recognize that we're going to do everything possible to ensure that there is no chance of transmission from a soldier to a family member or bring it into community. So, as we go do this, and I'm 100% behind it, we're going to ensure our families know they can be confident in the health of their soldier as well as the safety to them and the community.
Thanks very much for joining us, Major General Volesky. I know you've spent at least half of the last decade on deployment, so best to you, best to your family.